Football in Africa is more than a game. It's a mirror of history, politics, pride, and identity. From a three-team contest in 1957 to a continental festival watched by millions, the Africa Cup of Nations tells the story of a continent finding its voice on the world's biggest football stages. This is the story of AFCON, the triumphs, the shocks, the politics, and the moments that defined nations. The Africa Cup of Nations began in 1957, organized by the newly active African football community. The very first tournament was tiny by today's standards. Only 3 teams entered: Egypt, Ethiopia, and the host nation Sudan, after South Africa was disqualified because of apartheid policies. Egypt won that inaugural competition, and a continent's appetite for a continental championship was born. In the 1950s and 60s, African nations were undergoing massive political change, decolonization, new nations forming, and football became a space where newly independent countries could express identity and pride. AFCON was more than sport. It was symbolic of unity and competition among equals.
As more nations gained independence, more teams joined AFCON. The tournament grew in size and stature, and classic rivalries emerged. Ghana, Nigeria, Cameroon, and Zaire, now DR Congo, became regular contenders, and matches were often as much political theater as athletic contest. Ghana, with its golden generation of the 1960s and 70s, won multiple titles and helped popularize a more skillful, tactical African style. Tactics evolved. Early matches were open and high-scoring, but as coaching knowledge spread, teams became more disciplined. Domestic leagues and coaches who had studied abroad began to influence styles.
AFCON's trophy has often been lifted by a handful of powerhouses. Egypt stands out as the most successful nation in the tournament's history, claiming multiple titles across eras. Their dominance marked by golden squads in the late 2000s. Cameroon, Nigeria, Ghana, and more recently Algeria and Senegal have all had their eras in the sun. Egypt's dominance spans from the early editions right through a renaissance between 2006 and 2010, when they won 3 consecutive tournaments. Cameroon's resilience on big occasions and Nigeria's flair have produced classic finals and memorable players who later starred in Europe.
Every AFCON has its storylines, shock defeats, underdog runs, and finals that live forever in memory. Let's relive a few. 1. The underdog triumphs. Zambia's 2012 win, a tournament with emotional resonance after the 1993 plane crash tragedy that claimed the national team. B. Political backdrop. Years when political unrest affected hosting or team participation, reminding viewers that sport rarely stands apart from history. In recent decades, AFCON has changed structurally. The tournament expanded to include more teams, and, crucially, in 2019, the format increased to 24 teams, making the competition more inclusive and unpredictable. The tournament's scheduling has also shifted, often taking place in January to avoid the continent's extreme heat in some venues. Sponsorships, TV rights, and commercial partners have turned AFCON into a major broadcasting property. The Confederation of African Football, CAF, has sought partnerships to raise the tournament's profile globally.
AFCON is inseparable from nationhood. Victories are celebrated as national achievements. Hosting can be a political statement. Occasionally, political crises have forced relocations, postponements, or even prevented nations from participating. The story of AFCON is often the story of post-colonial Africa. Over the years, AFCON has showcased players who became African icons, from early stars who inspired generations to modern talents who dominate world football. The tournament puts talent on the global stage. Scouts, clubs, and fans watch closely every 2 years. Africa's love for football extends to the women's game, and the Women's Africa Cup of Nations has grown rapidly in profile and quality. CAF has invested in new trophies, development pathways, and continental tournaments that promise a bright future for women's football across Africa. With rising professionalism, improved leagues, and stronger youth setups, African football looks set for continued growth. Both men's and women's competitions are becoming more competitive and globally relevant. The Africa Cup of Nations is not just a football tournament. It's a chronicle of change. It's joy and heartbreak, politics and art, local heroes and global stars. As AFCON continues to evolve, it will keep telling the continent's story. One match, one goal, one nation at a time. If you enjoyed this deep dive into AFCON's history, like, subscribe, and tell us which AFCON moment you'd like us to feature next. Leave a comment. Which final do you remember best?